Yes, we are live. It is Saturday morning. Story time, everyone. It is Saturday morning, the 24th of whatever that is. Is it September? I don't know. I'm a bit lost, really. Anyway, it is the 24th. It's Saturday. I'm still in New York City, everyone. I shall be leaving next week or traveling next week. Boy, it's getting chilly here. Um, you can see I'm wearing a sweater, so it's too cold now. I have to go back to the warm. Anyway, before we begin the show, first of all, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Grey Eagle, who, as always, is standing to my right side. And I would also like to say good morning to Chris. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Rosemary. How are you?
I'm good. Where are you? How are you? What are you doing? What are you up to?
Well, I'm in a much sunnier and warm place than you are.
That makes a change, right?
Yeah. Nice balmy breezes and palm trees. Oh,
Isn't
yeah,
it beautiful there at this time of year? Oh,
definitely.
it's so nice. Well, when I go back, I know that I'm going to be wanting to take a walk on the beach with the breezes, with the sun. It'll be nice and warm and breezy and wonderful ocean breezes. It'll be absolutely glorious. Of course, I shall miss my daughter and my grandson, who will, I give you a heads up now, they'll be floating in and out. Can you see? There you go. There's one of them. They're getting ready. There's the puppy. They're getting ready to take Apache for a walk. So they'll be going back and forth for a little bit and then they'll be gone. So I'm waiting until they've left the house before I begin the story, so we don't get any interruptions. But in the meantime, Chris, is there anybody there?
There is, and because of what you posted on your Instagram, and obviously what you spoke about on Thursday, we have people clamoring in the wings saying they can't wait for your story.
Well, good, good. Well, you have to wait just a little bit longer while my family get themselves together and go out for. Did you hear that? That's my daughter. No, I'm not going to start. No, we'll wait until you're gone. All right, Chris, while we're waiting, do we have any comments? Do we have any questions? Do we have anything at all going on here?
Well, Annika says it's also getting very chilly in Connecticut.
Oh,
And of
yes.
course, we know you had your event just a few short weeks ago in Connecticut.
It seems like so long ago, don't you think? It just seems like that was then, way back. It's hard to imagine. It was only, I think, maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks since we had our Connecticut event, which again, shout out to our lovely Christy. She did a fantastic job. We had a great, great time. So, anyway, keep going, Chris.
All right. Barb is saying, good morning, all. Can't wait to hear your story.
Oh,
And
good.
and Dutch family is on saying we know the story.
Oh, they're on. Oh, how lovely! Gosh, oh, that's pressure on me. Well, I shall tell the story from my point of view. Maybe they'd like to make comments about the story from their point of view. Wouldn't that be amazing? How lovely! How lovely! Well, hi to all of you guys whose names I will not mention. You can mention them if you like, but I'm not going to mention them. It's up to you. Chris, keep going.
Well, they're laughing, Rosemary. Um, Annalise says it's gray and raining in Holland and hello to all. Karen's on from Florida saying good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Um, Danny is on from the Virgin Islands also saying good morning.
Oh, the Virgin Islands, but it's nice and warm there. Ooh, I'd love to go there. Anyway, keep going.
Tracy says it's warm in England.
Oh, surprise.
And let's see, did we have any? Andrew's on from the UK and he's saying it's gray.
I guess it depends which part of England you're in, then, doesn't it? But this time of year, Well, actually, September can be the most wonderful month. We can have what we call an Indian summer, where it starts to get chilly, and all of a sudden, towards the middle to the end of the month, it gets warm again. When we were kids, my mother always used to take us away for vacation, uh, except for the first 2 weeks of September. And amazingly, I can only remember one time, one year out of all of the years that we went, I can only remember one time when it actually rained. We would often go to Cornwall and then we would go to Ireland, and we always hit the perfect weather. First 2 weeks of September. Of course, we always also, my mother took us out of school because every other kid went back to school then, and we had that 2 weeks off. Of course, we couldn't do it now, could we? Um, Not again. I've got that silly thing going on again. Can you not see me, or can you still see me?
We
There
can still
it is.
see you and hear you.
Thing that comes on all the time. Let me see if I can get rid of it. No, no, no. Do that. There. Let's see. And I'd forgotten I'm not on the big screen. Is that better? There we are.
I
Is
think
that
it sounds like it's better for you. It made no difference to us.
oh, okay? All right then. Okay.
Shashi is on from India.
Right.
Lorraine saying good morning from North Carolina, and it's a cool morning finally. Vicky says it's cool, gray, and cloudy in Links, UK.
Who is that?
And
Vicky, did you
that's
say
Vicky, yeah.
Lincolnshire? Right. Hi to
Um,
everyone in Lincolnshire.
and Dean saying it's a Cornish day here in Wisconsin, gray and misty and cold. My house is freezing and I have layers of clothes that aren't doing any good.
Okay then. I don't know why you would say it's a Cornish day. Unless it, of course, it doesn't mean it's not referring to Cornwall, but my experience of Cornwall is warm and sunny, of course, freezing in the wintertime, but still. Well, we seem to have an awful lot of people from all over, don't we? India, Holland, um, where else? Gosh, so many different places. England, of course, and America, and I'm sure we have other people from other parts of the world. It's amazing to me how many different countries do tune into us, how many people from different countries do tune into us, and I love that. So when you are posting or putting up little messages, we'd love to know exactly where are you. Aside from who are you, because we'd like to know that too, but exactly where are you, we'd like to know that. Okay, how are we doing, Chris? Any questions yet? Anything going on?
We do have a question. This is from Annika saying at the beginning of a consultation, you say to respond to you speaking because the
Yes,
people in the spirit world respond to the voice.
yes,
I always speak to my darling in my mind or write things down, and I never speak out loud to him. I, however, feel that he hears me anyway.
yes.
So, looking for your comments. Would it be
Okay,
clearer to him if I spoke out loud? Is the question.
no, no. Um, there are two reasons why at the beginning of a consultation I will say to everyone, as you know, as we're going along, if what I'm saying to you makes sense, say yes to me. If it doesn't, say no to me. you know I need to hear your voice. I don't need you to tell me everything about yourself or everything about what we're doing. In fact, if you talk too much or say too much, I'll stop you in your tracks. But when I'm working, remember, the spirit world doesn't know me. Those people in the spirit world, your family or whoever it is who's sort of around us in that moment. As far as I'm aware, I've not spoken to them before. I don't know them, and they don't know me. So why would they consider telling me everything about themselves? Um, so it's so it's important that I hear you. Those of you who are having the consultation, it's important that I hear you verbally, because voice vibration will carry, and it'll carry to those in the spirit world, but it also will carry to me. So there are two reasons. First of all, connecting with that vibrational level, which is important to make sure we've got a good connection. Excuse me. But also remember, when I'm talking to those in the spirit world, um, I'm not really looking at the people who have the consultation. I'm sort of looking beyond you. So as I'm talking, they may be nodding or shaking their head or what have you, and I won't see it. So I don't know whether you're following me or not. So there are two reasons why I need to hear your voice. First, I need to know that you're following me, and I need to know that you're understanding me. And the second reason is that vibrational level is important, and hearing a voice, hearing that connection strengthens the vibration. So I'm able basically to tune in more. And those in the spirit world, when they hear your voices, of course, they know you, they love you. It's them, it's you they want to talk to. When they hear your voice, it's sort of confirmation that you're getting it, that you can hear them, even though it is through me. You can hear them as well as them hearing you. So there's a whole reason why I do need to hear your voice. Right. My family have disappeared for a little while. So, Chris, are we ready?
We are ready.
All right. So, it is story time. Every Saturday morning we have a story time. And mostly the stories are other people's stories. Occasionally they're my own stories. But this is definitely the story of a family, not my family, but it's the story of a family. And uh, I find this story fascinating because, as I said on Thursday, perhaps some of you didn't uh, watch the show on Thursday, but I was asked a question um, by this family when they came to me for a consultation. We did it on. They were in another country and I was here, so we do these things on whatever it is, Zoom or whatever we use. So when they came to me, I always say to my clients beforehand, have your questions ready. So here we go. So, as all good stories must begin, I tell my grandson, once upon a time. Once upon a time, a week or so ago, I had a lovely family come to me for a consultation. And if they're listening, then they're blushing. They shouldn't, because they are really a fabulous, fabulous, beautiful family. And they have a wonderful relationship with each other, too. Anyway, they asked a question. Now, I thought I've been doing this for at least 100 years or more. I mean, you can see the wrinkles and you see how old I am, right? Anyway, I've been doing this for so many years, and very few things surprise me. And the majority of the questions I'm asked, I've heard them maybe more than a dozen times over a period of all of those years. I've maybe heard them lots and lots of times. And it is very rare that I hear a new question. It's very rare somebody puts a question to me that I haven't heard before, but this is what happened. And so this family came with their questions, and it might have been the first or second question. It was such an important question to them. It was sort of fairly up at the top of their list of questions. And the question was, is it possible, once you've passed, when you leave this earth, once you've passed into the spirit world, is it possible to find your soulmate? And I thought, well, I've never been asked that question before. So let me set the scene for you. So here I am. I was actually sitting in Reese's bedroom doing this. You see how natural and easy it is. You don't have to cloak this subject in mystery. It's a very ordinary subject. So here I am. I'm sitting in my grandson's bedroom in my daughter's apartment, and I'm on a Zoom call with this lovely family, husband and wife and their two daughters. They're sitting in a row. They're all smiling and obviously excited. I had no idea why they had connected to me. They'd just simply booked an appointment with me, And that's fine. They didn't tell me who they wanted to connect with. Nothing. But now, here's the thing. So I want you to visualize this part of the story. So I am sitting in front of my computer as I'm doing now. They are facing me, all in a lovely little row, the four of them. So that would make five of us, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it make five of us? It would, yes, but no. Because the moment I sat down to do this, I was very much aware of another presence in the room. And when I say a presence, I want to really, if I can, try to help you to understand, because if I say a presence, you sort of get the image or the impression of something that's floating around there but isn't really real or isn't really solid. So I'm going to refer to this now and explain to you. I felt that there was another person in the room standing just behind me on my right shoulder here, just waiting. And I was aware of this person from the beginning. I was aware that she was a female. I was aware that she was very pretty. She looked much younger to me than I think she actually is. But then, um, she just looked lovely. So I thought, aha, I thought to myself, so this is what this family is doing here. This is why they've come to talk to me. And obviously, this young lady who is standing next to me is the one that they would like to connect with. So, in no time at all, we managed to establish that. And and then, of course, I always say to everybody, there are no guarantees with this, which there never are. I always say to people, if the consultation um, does not go to my satisfaction, not necessarily yours or theirs, but mine, because I have very high standards. If it does not go to my expectation, then I'll give you a choice. The first, of course, is that I will immediately refund your money, even if we spent an hour or an hour and a half trying to figure it out, which actually did happen um, uh, a while ago when after 45 minutes we weren't getting anywhere because these people had not got their questions in order as they perhaps should have done, or maybe didn't realize that they needed to do it in this way. Um, Even no matter how much time I spend, if I don't feel the consultation is going as well as I would like it to, I can, one, refund your money immediately. It's not often that we have to do that. I don't quite know why, but occasionally we have. Or the second option is that I will book you in. I don't know quite how long you'll have to wait. We'll try and fit you in as soon as we possibly can, and we'll do it again at no extra charge. And even if we have to do it again and again, 2 or 3 times, that has happened from time to time too. So I don't charge people for the time that I'm spending. I know that sounds crazy, but I don't. I feel that if I can't give you what it is you've paid for, which is a good connection and a clear connection, then I shouldn't be charging you at all. So I'm telling you these little details so that if any of you now go out or want to go out and look for someone to give you a consultation, these are the things that people should be saying to you. And if they're honest with you, and if they're honest and they do their job properly, and they trust in doing their job properly, then they will say to you, no, you can give you your money back, or we'll try again and again and again. Fortunately, in this story, it worked. From my point of view, it worked fabulously and wonderfully. The family had all of their questions ready. Um, I think we answered them pretty satisfactorily. They gave the questions perhaps in order of most important to them. However, their daughter, yes, they had a third daughter, have a third daughter, standing next to me, decided on the order that she wanted to answer the questions. and even had some things to say herself that were not even on the list of questions. That usually happens. But I was curious as to how I was looking at the questions, and I had this young lady looking over my shoulder, looking at the questions as well. And I'm asking her, "So, do you want to ask this? Do you want to answer this one next, or whatever?" And she was giving me the questions and telling me the order in which she wanted the questions answer, answering. And she decided that she would leave that one question, that that crucial question, as it turned out. Um, uh, did you meet your soulmate? Is it possible? Perhaps if you haven't met your soulmate now, is it possible that you might meet your soulmate now that you're in the spirit world? And she decided to leave that question till the very last. Right. Okay. So we did all of the other questions, and she had a lot to say to her sisters. Obviously, she had some lovely things to say about her mum and her dad, who are fabulous. Saying it again. Um, and as she was talking, and as I was pondering this question that we were going to ask, it occurred to me that so few of us know what is a soulmate anyway. What do we consider a soulmate to be? In this particular instance, with this young lady, when she was referring to soulmates, and when her family were referring to soulmates and wanting to know, will she ever meet her soulmate? They're asking, I suppose, for that romantic, that soul searching, that soul connecting, that special romantic, love consuming, and involving and encompassing everything kind of love. That's what we consider as a soulmate, when your heart beats in time with their heartbeat, and you become, it's sort of like it's finding your other half. It's that person who you feel completes you. And so few of us, um, unfortunately, find their soulmate. um, but it occurred to me, and since we've been talking about this, it's occurred to me that people, sort of don't quite know, is this person a soulmate, or this person a soulmate? Or but if you're having to ask, is this one my soulmate? Then the answer is probably no. They're not your soulmate, because when you meet your soulmate, when you connect with your soulmate, you immediately recognize each other. It's an absolute and complete recognition. Now, uh, funnily, um, that doesn't mean that you're going to spend, let's say at 20 years old, right? You meet your soulmate, okay, and you know each other and you love each other, and as I've said, it's two halves coming together. But by the time you're 30 or 40, other things take over your lives, and you might find that even though you think of a soulmate as that one person who's going to be in your life forever, on a physical level, they may not be in your life forever. Emotionally, they will always be in your heart. Emotionally, they will always be a part of you. But very often they go and do their thing and you go and do your thing. Now, what happens when you pass into the spirit world? Well, obviously, you meet up and you meet again, because you're two halves meeting and joining together. In this particular case, though, this young lady had not met her soulmate, never connected with her soulmate. I'm pretty sure that she had relationships with people that were meaningful to her. We have soulmates, we have workmates, we have playmates. Um, Sometimes you meet someone and you just connect like this, and it's an absolutely incredible connection, but it's not necessarily a heart throbbing love connection. It's a fun connection. They are your playmates, they're the people who are meant to meet them, you're meant to connect with them. um, and when we talk about play, we don't talk about frivolous play necessarily. We talk about connecting in so many different ways, connecting on a spiritual level, connecting on an emotional level, there are lots of different ways we can meet a soul mate, but, well, playmate, workmate, etc. You can ask all the questions you like afterwards about this anyway. But that soul connection, that soulmate that we all think about when we talk about our soulmate, is that one person that we are completely embedded with, into, around, part of. We cannot, you just come together, and it's beautiful. We had on Thursday a lovely guy who said, well, my wife is my soulmate and she passed. Will she still be my soulmate? When I go, will I meet her again? And the answer to that is absolutely. But let's come back to this question. Can we, if we haven't met our soulmate here on this earth, is it too late for us? Will we never meet our soulmate then? And this family, this lovely, lovely family, so desperately wanted their daughter, sister, to find her true love. So we answered all the other questions. I'm wriggling about here, sorry about that. So we answered all the other questions, and now we have that one question which she left to the last. Did she leave the last for the best for last, or did she simply just not want to let them down by saying, no, it's not happening anymore? What was that? So, of course, as we're talking to her, as her family were talking to her and connecting with her, of course, they wanted to know what it was she was up to. Where was she? What kinds of experiences had she had while she was in the spirit world? What was going on with her? But before I think they even asked that question, she was telling us, and to her, the joy of her mother, I have to say, she said to us, I am a healer. And her mother said, yes, I knew it, which was lovely. And she said, I'm a healer. And then she went on to talk about how when she passed into the spirit world, sort of after a little while, we meet our mentors, we meet people who are wiser than us, we meet people who are able to guide us and steer us. And one of the things that she learned was that she was a healer. And being a healer, she told us, interestingly, because I find all of this really interesting, she told us interestingly that when she first decided that she wanted to do more with healing, she said we, and I don't know who we are, but I guess a group of people, we were put into groups of 2 or 3 or 4. And we were put into these groups so that we could work with each other and learn from each other. Interesting. So then she went on to say that that the group that she was put into, that she was the people that she was working with, there was just this one guy who she knew immediately, who she recognized immediately. Not that she'd ever met him before, certainly not in this life, but had she met him before, previously, before she came to this earth? But she went on to describe that this young man was a healer also, and that they worked together, but that she knew him because she knew immediately, as did he, that he was her soulmate and she was his. And she described, now, when you're doing a consultation, I do have to say, and for the family watching and listening to all of this, there's only so much I can tell you because there's only so much time, and we're talking about so many other things as well. So even as I am talking to you all and I'm telling this story, I have this young lady standing to my right side here, helping me, waving to her family, furiously blowing kisses, but very excited that she can tell us a little bit more about the process. So as I'm talking to all of you, I'm also listening to this lovely girl who is explaining. So listen, me see if I can get this. Gosh, I'm such a responsibility. I've got to get this exactly right. So, oh yeah, that's great. So right. So this is what she's saying. We looked, we saw, we came together, and are inseparable, working as healers and with. I don't know if I was able to tell the family this. I'm not sure. Working with young children and helping younger children who have perhaps lots of issues when they come to the spirit world. Maybe they're missing their family, or maybe they are, just wondering what's going on here. But she and her soulmate are working with others. It's not just their responsibility, working with others. And she tells me there are many, I keep hearing say little things here. She tells me that there are many who do this work and we help our angels in this work, which is, she tells me, it's very important work. She's smiling at me. She says, I'm just a beginner. I just begun. And standing next to her, I keep catching brief glimpses of the young man who has his hands on her shoulders. Yes, he is her soulmate. They Right now, I'm talking to Grey Eagle. So let me say this: they both absolutely knew while they were here on this earth plane. They both, in different ways, absolutely knew that they were meant to find their soulmate, and they both had this feeling that it would absolutely happen. There was no doubt that they'd find their soulmate, and they waited to sort of, second best wasn't an option. They waited and waited for their soulmate because they absolutely both knew in different ways. They both knew. Yes, right. So this lovely girl's soulmate is. I think I did mention this to the family, from the far, far east. Don't quite know what that means, but certainly, she says we were literally worlds apart on this same earth plane, but he was in one part of the world and she was in a completely different part of the world. Although she did travel, but never to where he was. They were not destined. She tells me they were not destined to meet while they were on this earth. They were destined to meet exactly when they did, coming together, joining together, working together, and she tells me, she's smiling, and inseparable. So is it possible? Well, with this story, it tells you it is not only possible, it's very likely. And I think that gives me tremendous hope for so many people who come to me and they say, I've never been in love, or I've never met the love of my life, and I really thought that I would meet a soulmate and it hasn't happened, and so on. So I can say to all of you out there who are concerned that it's not happened, don't worry, because one way or another, even if you have to wait for a long while, one way or another, your soulmate is out there for you, and that's interesting. Now, I'm asking Gregor, does that mean we all of us have a soulmate? And he tells me that it's much more complicated and much more complex than that. So I think we should have a show at some point in the future delving into that and delving into why it is that some people do have soulmates and perhaps some other people have something else that connects them. So I think it's always a great thing when we can discover information from the spirit world. It's always a great thing to have that knowledge and that bigger or greater understanding of how things work. One of the reasons why the way that I work, and some of you have heard me say this before, the way that I work, and our lovely family in Holland know this, and many, of course, of you who have had consultations with me will know this. It's very important for me to make a connection with those in the spirit world, to absolutely assure myself and the family that I am actually, I'm not just seeing them, I'm not just getting impressions of people in the spirit world, I'm actually having conversations with them, which means that as I am doing, yes, she's reminding me, as I am doing here and now. So she's tapping me on the shoulder, wants to say something or another. So is this just no? It's everybody. Okay, so I was wondering if she's saying this just for her family or if this is for everybody. And she says we we all of us on both sides, we have to learn to listen. And what I do when I'm connecting with the spirit world, and what I do when I'm connecting with a, a daughter, a sister, a mother, a brother, whoever it is that I'm connecting with, an aunt, an uncle, whatever the relationship is, first of all, I must know, uh, and I must know that the person that I'm connecting with is the right person, is the person that you want to talk to. And so I ask them to give me information. I ask them to give me, I guess you'd call it, evidence of some kind. I ask them to talk to me, and as they're talking to me, as I am talking to all of you, they are talking to me, and as they're talking to me, I'm listening, and then I am imparting what I'm hearing to those of you who come to me for a consultation. This is why it's really important when you go to see someone like me, you must make sure that they are actually conversing. They're having a back and forth. They're having a conversation, and it's a two-way and often 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 way conversation, especially if the family want to join in. And it's important that we do that so that people know absolutely. There's no doubt from what those in the spirit world will tell me. That they leave no doubt that it's really them, because they tell us things that we, well, sometimes even the person I'm giving the consultation to doesn't know. They have to go and find it out. And then they come back and say, Rosemary, you said blah blah blah, and well, that was right. Well, of course it was, because I'm having a conversation with the spirit world, who know so much more. They know so much better than that we do, and they're able to educate us in this fabulous, fabulous way. I have these two lovebirds, these two young lovebirds standing to my right side, just behind me. She's giggling at my at my description of them, but they are wonderful together. They have this incredible and beautiful and special relationship. And how did that happen? There are many of you who say, well, wish I could have that experience. There are many of you who say, well, how come her daughter came to her, but my daughter never came to me, or my son never was able to talk to me? Well, I always say to people, you have to give your loved ones in the spirit world an opportunity. You know, you have to give them the opportunity to do this. And this lovely young lady's family gave her the opportunity. They booked an appointment with me, and they gave their daughter an opportunity to speak to them. And I would love to know, and I think I would be right in saying that this family had as much fun. Yes, fun, because we did. You don't think coming to somebody like me is going to be fun. You don't think coming to somebody like me is going to that we're going to laugh. Um, as painful as it is, and as painful a subject as it is, we cry, but we laugh, and we're laughing because we know they're really there, and it's such a joyful thing to absolutely know for certain that our loved ones in the spirit world are there. And how can we help but not laugh, even if we're heartbroken, even if we're crying, even if we miss them so much? The idea that they're able to talk to us, that they can tell us things, the idea that this lovely couple have come this morning to tell us, hey, we're together. This is what happened to us. This is how we met. We met as healers, but we were meant to be. I'm hearing them both say, but we were meant to be. And I have to tell you, family listening out there, when they're looking at each other, I do see stars in their eyes. So I do know that they are happy with each other. And they are blowing lots of kisses, not just to the family, but to all of you out there who have listened very patiently to this fabulous and wonderful story of evidence that we can, in fact, find our soulmates even once we have finished living our lives on this earth plane. And that is an absolutely and a fabulous and a wonderful and a joyful, joyful experience. They're both waving furiously. They want to stay on, I'm sure, but we have other things to do, so they have to go away now. And I don't think they'll go very far. I think they'll be with their families. And so that is the story of this wonderful consultation I had with this family just this last week. I think I'm allowed to say that. Just this last week. And it was so joyful, and I am so blessed to be able to have met them all and to have met this lovely girl and her soulmate. And now I have to send them away. Because, as all good stories must end, the end. I hope you like this story. Okay, Chris, how are we doing there?
Well, Rosemary, the family has been commenting. They're saying it was so much fun, Rosemary, and very special. But they're also wondering if you are able to show the young man's name, to tell them the young man's name.
Well, yes. Well, why don't they do it? um, I feel that I, I did hear his. He's laughing at me. I've got this big chuckling going on in my ear. I did feel um, that I heard a name, but I think it's probably a shortened version or sort of like a name that she uses for him because uh, I think that I'm hearing just a part of his name or just a little bit of his name, but it sounds like Freddie to me. But I suspect that I'm not. He's laughing at me. I think he likes that name, but I think there's a whole lot more to it than that. Anyway, so there you have it. All right.
All right, so let me scroll back up here. Dean is asking a question, Rosemary. When people talk to you from the spirit world, why don't they just tell you their name so you and your consultee know immediately who they are?
Oh yes. Well, why don't they? Well, as you can see, Dean, I think I might have just answered this question because, you know, um, some sometimes we don't always hear as clearly as we should. Uh, I mean, even when we're introduced to people here on this earth plane, I mean, how many times do you think somebody's told you one name and it turns out to be something else entirely? So it depends on how clear they are. It depends how much of a strong connection it is. And remember, I was not, necessarily. And what is in a name anyway? I learned years and years ago that I'm not sure that names really mean a great deal. There are so many more things that we can talk about that are much more important than that. I don't know why we don't get it all in black and white. Why don't we do that? Maybe it's because we're talking at a distance. Maybe it's because there is interference. You know how you try to get a radio station and you're fiddling about with it, and of course people don't do that anymore. But you know what I'm saying. Or the internet goes down, or it's only working partly, or what have you. This it's if it were that easy, we'd all do it. And sometimes it is that easy. Don't ask me why. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't, because I don't know. I know that people think that I'm all knowing and all seeing, but actually, sorry to disappoint you all, but that is not the case. Chris.
Rhonda says, wow, this is an amazing story. It gives me peace to know and a certain amount of excitement to know that when my husband and I pass into the spirit world, that we may get to work together helping others.
Oh, without a doubt. You would be amazed at how many times, more times than not, when when you have somebody loses their partner, and the partner says, I'll be there, I'll be waiting, I'll come and fetch you, or I'll hold your hand when you come over. I mean, you'd be amazed how many times that happens. If you have a good relationship with someone, and if you love them and they love you, why would you not continue that relationship uh, in a different way, in a more special way, perhaps?
All right, then we have Judith saying, yes, soulmates would make an interesting topic. I never met mine in this lifetime.
Well, all right. Well, we'll leave that topic for another time. But yes, I think it would make a very. Why do some people have soulmates and some people don't? Why do some people have workmates and some people have playmates? Yes, maybe we'll do a show about that at some point in the future. Chris, keep going.
Marlos is wondering the connection between the story you just told and your book, Soul Signs.
Um, well, I'm not sure there is a connection with the story I just told, except that everything connects with everything, doesn't it? I mean, there are many more stories I can tell you, um, but soul signs in the book Soul Signs, which I wrote a while ago. It's a fascinating book. It's an incredibly interesting book. Maybe the family might like to get it. But it tells us each of us is a soul. Each of us is created from a certain type of energy. Each soul is created from a certain type of energy. And also in that book, Soul Signs, we do talk about the different souls that there are, some of the different souls that there are, and some of the reasons why souls come to this earth. Um, so it is a fascinating book. It's a great book. I don't know that it has anything particular to do with this story, but certainly it's a great book, and it's also very, very informative.
Um,
Okay,
I,
Chris.
I don't believe that Marlos had read your book yet, but her questions had to do with if she was a water sign, is she looking for a water sign, etc.
No, now there is, you definitely need to read the book. Water signs and earth signs. And when we're talking about this, please understand we're not talking astrologically. We are talking spiritually. We're talking of the soul and the different types of energy the soul is created from. And so we have earth signs, we have water signs, we have, it sounds like astrology. And it's all, everything is connected, but it is not astrology. It goes beyond astrology. I think it's gives you a more thorough explanation of the types of energy that each soul is. So we have fire signs and we have air signs, and there's a fifth which we're not going to talk about today. But um, earth signs and water signs are very compatible. If you use your common sense, you'll know this because you know, excuse me, water feeds earth. Earth gives water a place to be. If you look at fire signs and air signs, you know that fire cannot survive if it doesn't have air. So air feeds fire, and fire entices and enhances air and warms the air and gives the air a place to be. So air, air signs and fire signs are very compatible. Uh, and earth signs and water signs are very compatible. Gosh, I can't get my mind around it. But yes, you need to read Soul Signs because I think it's a very informative book. If you're going to read Soul Signs and you have not yet read Soul Signs, Remember to abide by the golden rule. There is a golden rule. First, you must find your soul uh, energy. Are you a fire sign, an earth sign, a water sign, or an air sign? First, find which energy you are. Because if you go through soul signs and you read it all, there are something like, I don't know, several, 24 or 20 something different types of soul sign. Uh, if you find your group first, air, fire, water, or earth, if you find your group first, you only have 3 soul signs to choose from. It gets much less complicated. One of those 3 soul signs you'll dismiss immediately as being, no, that's not me. And then you might go back and forth between the other 2, and you will be the one that you are more of, or the one that you are most of. I have a lovely friend who was a water sign, and water signs are the peacemaker, the whatever they are. I forgot what they
Old soul.
are. The old soul, the peacemaker, and something else. But anyway, uh, not the traveler, is it? It's anyway. But there are 3 soul signs, right? And she said to me, "Oh, I so want to be an old soul. Please, can I be an old soul? I so want to be an old soul." And she desperately wants to be an old soul. She was a water sign, so there was a possibility that she would be an old soul. But in fact, it turned out that she was the peacemaker. So, you could use the golden rule. Don't go through all the soul signs, because you'll be saying to yourself, well, that's me. Well, that's me. Well, how can that be me if that's me? And so on. And you'll confuse yourself immediately. So find your soul group first, and then you can find your soul sign. Okay, Chris, keep going.
All right. Lisa says, "Oh, yes, we do fiddle with the radios as well as the Wi-Fi antenna. LOL. I get it totally. I get
Good.
messages from other people or mostly through animals, birds, insects,
Oh,
etc."
nice. Nice. Those the winged creatures, as the Apache would call them, as the Native Americans would call them, those tiny winged creatures, or the crawlers. Did you know the crawlers, the ones with no legs, the two-legged, and the winged, and the crawlers, or even, if you look at a caterpillar, I'm thinking, how many legs does a caterpillar have? But I think that would come under the guise of the crawlers, or the crawling, the tiny crawlers. So this is how we use those terms in a spiritual sense. See, I've taught you something else. Sometimes shown you something else. So we've got the two-legged, which is man, of course, and the four-legged, which are the animals, the tiny winged creatures, which are those that fly, including birds. I'm not sure you call a hawk a tiny winged creature, but in respect of everything else, they would be, I think. And then, of course, the crawlers. Yes. So, all right, keep going, Chris.
Lisa says, oh no, we just did Lisa. Lorraine says, "Wonderful story, as usual. Will our soulmates in the spirit world work together at different levels, whether healers or something else?"
Yes, yes, I think so. I think a soulmate is that person who's compatible with you, always going to be compatible with you, always going to connect with you, and you always have the same or similar interests. I mean, that's what being compatible means. That doesn't mean you'll necessarily work together, but it means that certainly our lovely young couple, I feel all sort of, romance is in the air here, uh, which is lovely. Um, I feel that there's more to it, and we can have a show at some point in the future if Grey Eagle so decides, and he can teach us something else about that stuff. So, yes,
Rhonda wants to know, are we going to do a spooky story night for Halloween
of
like
course,
last
Rhonda.
year? That
Yes,
was so much fun.
yes, of course we will. In fact, we were just talking about it the other day, and Halloween is on a Monday. See, I know this because Chris and I and Samantha and we were all talking talking about what should we do? Should we do something? Of course, we will do something. And we do like to have a spooky story, and we do like to sort of turn the lights down low and sort of, do the creepy stuff or the spooky stuff or whatever it is, something coming out from under the bed, that's kind of thing. It's a lot of fun to do stuff like that. Although the problem is, you see, I don't believe in ghosts. I believe in people. so, but certainly we could have a ghost story. Absolutely, we could do it. Something. Should we have it on a Saturday? Maybe we should have a little, what is it called? A survey, Chris, going on. Um, uh, we thought that perhaps doing it on Monday, which is Halloween night, of course, it's always fun. But the problem is that if you do it on Halloween night, a lot of people are out there trick or treating and what have you, so you won't get to see it. I guess you could always see it later. Or should we have it on Saturday? But a lot of people will be having Halloween parties on the Saturday previous to it. So which night should we have it? I'm tempted to think we should do it on Halloween because, why wouldn't we? All Souls. Yes, we'll see. We'll let you know, but definitely. And also, let's do this. Why don't we do this, Chris? If any of you out there, have a spooky story that you would like to tell us or that you'd like me to retell for you, maybe we'll consider that on Halloween as well. So send us your stories, email us, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com or Chris, Kris, Chris at rosemaryaltea.com. Send us your stories. Please put it in the subject line. If it's for Halloween, put Halloween in the subject line. We'd love to know all about that. We also would love to know if you have any traditions on Halloween, because as we've already seen, we have people from so many different countries coming in to look at this show. So if you in your country have a tradition that you do for Halloween, we'd love to hear about that as well. So we can talk about all of those things on Halloween night. Chris.
All right. Well, you're right about at time, Rosemary.
Yeah, I think this is a really good time to stop because I have to go and buy a piano for my grandson. We have a piano that I got for him, but we had it tuned the other day and it's still not tuning properly. See, this is my life, and I get to take my grandson and my daughter out for an Oriental fabulous. We have the fabulous restaurant. I think it's Chinese restaurant here, but it's very different, very unusual, and really authentic. Very often the Western idea of what Chinese or Indian or whatever foods we're eating, the Western idea is very different than when you go to the country and eat the real stuff. But this is an authentic restaurant that we'll probably be visiting later on today. But the piano has to come first. Anyway, so that's my day. Well, thank you all for joining me. I'm really glad. I really hope you enjoyed this story. Love to our lovely family who allowed me to share that story. So grateful for that. Thank you so much. Until I see you all again, which probably will be Thursday if I get to Florida, because my flight is booked for Wednesday and there's this hurricane supposed to be coming in. I have a feeling Gregor might sort of move it out of the way. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. We'll, in that case, I'll be doing the show from Florida on Thursday. Until I see you all again, please, everybody, please have a very blessed rest of the day and have a very blessed weekend, everybody. Thanks to Chris. Thanks to Gregor. Thanks once again to all of you. Have a very blessed rest of the weekend. Bye-bye, everybody.